Which battery stores more energy? A 12 volt 60 amp hours battery or 6 volt 100 amp hours battery? 100 amp hours sounds bigger, right? It isn't. And the reason why is voltage. Let's break this down. This is a standard 12 volt 60 amp hour car battery. Nothing special. Let's measure the voltage first. About 12.2 volts. The label says 60 amp hours. That sounds like capacity. But what does it actually represent? Let's move to the tablet for a second. Amp hours are current times time. Amp hours are electric charge, not energy. They describe how much charge a battery can move over time. If a battery delivers 1 amp for 60 hours, that's 60 amp hours. If it delivers 60 amps for 1 hour, that's also 60 amp hours. Same charge. But none of this tells us how much energy is stored. Now let's add voltage. Watt hours are voltage times amp hours. Energy equals voltage multiplied by amp hours. Let's calculate the energy of this battery. Energy equals 12 volts times 60 amps, and that equals 720 watt hours. So this battery stores about 720 watt hours. Now let's go back to the real world example. Now imagine a different battery. 6 volts, 100 amp hours. The amp hour number is bigger. But let's calculate the energy. Let's go back to the tablet. Energy equals 6 volts times 100 amp hours, and that's 600 watt hours. So this battery has more amp hours, but less energy. And that's the key point. If you compare batteries using amp hours alone, you can end up choosing the smaller energy storage, because the number looks bigger. Now let's back to the physical battery again. Amp hours measure charge. Energy depends on charge and voltage. Lower voltage means less energy per unit of charge. You can think of it like water. Amp hours are the amount of water. Voltage is the pressure. Without pressure, the same amount of water does less work. Now let's look at something practical. I'll connect a charger to this battery. Watch the voltage. Now it rises. Maybe to 14.2 or 14.4 volts. The amp hour rating did not change, but the voltage did. And since energy depends on voltage, the energy per unit charge changes as well. Voltage is not constant, which makes amp hours alone even less informative. Let's quantify another example. 12 volts times 60 amp hours equals 720 watt hours. And 24 volts times 30 amp hours equals 720 watt hours. Same energy, different amp hours. If you only look at amp hours, you might assume the 60 amp hour system is larger. It isn't. Energy compare watt hours or kilowatt hours, because watt hours represent energy. Amp hours are not useless. They are practical for current calculations, runtime estimates at a known voltage, and cable sizing. But without voltage, the number is incomplete. Not wrong, but incomplete. If you remember one thing from this video, amp hours are electric charge, watt hours are energy. When comparing batteries, compare watt hours. And when someone tells you the battery capacity in amp hours, ask about the voltage, because physics always includes both. This isn't about calling anyone out. It's about understanding what the numbers really mean. In energy systems, units matter. This is Emergency Power Lab. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.